Chapter 379, A Hero Can Shed No Tears, Only Blood. For Liu Yunxiao grabbed another crying little boy and looked at Nalan Hu coldly. Nalan Hu, to your knees, now. Nalan Hu had no chance of winning him as he had united with several strong nations. What he wanted was not only the Nalan family's life. He also wanted to humiliate Nalan Hu in every possible way before he died. Nalan Hu's eyes were burning with rage. However, Liu Yunxiao gave him no chance to think. He stabbed through the little boy's chest with a sword. The little boy was only around 3 years old. His parents had just been slaughtered, and he was left alone in the world. However, he had already lost his life at the age where he had only started to understand and discover the world. His eyes were round and wide. He looked terrified and reluctant to die as there were tears in his eyes, but then, he could not stand up and live anymore. Nalan Hu felt as if his heart was pierced through by needles. It was really, really painful. He loved the people and treated them like his own children. Even though he had been on the battlefields for so many years, or helped to expand the kingdom's power, he had never hurt a single ordinary man in any country. As the general of a nation, his duty was to protect these ordinary people. But, all he could do was to watch these people collapsed before his eyes. He could do nothing. Liu Yun Kingdom's people were enraged. As the battle turned more violent, their eyes became even redder as if there was a wave of deep anger that had nowhere to go. At the same time, Liu Yunxiao dragged another middle-aged man. Nalan Hu stopped all the fighting. His eyes landed on the person Liu Yunxiao was holding. He was expressionless. What you wish for is to humiliate me, I senti it. I will do as you wish, but please, let go of all these ordinary folk. Liu Yunxiao smiled coldly and said, I will let them leave the imperial city if you kneel down to me. I won't kill them if they never return. How's the deal? Okay. Nalan Hu's voice quivered, but his eyes were as resolute as steel. Old General. Everyone was frightened. They looked at Nalan Hu anxiously. You can't do that. Nalan Hu was someone who cared about his dignity very much. If he really did that, he would suffer for the rest of his life. Even if he survived, he would be living in hell. Nalan Hu slowly closed his eyes. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes and gradually went down on his knees. Old General. Qin Feiyang's old face was filled with sadness. You can't do as he wishes, you can't do that. Nalan Hu's ears could not hear any sound anymore. He knew it well, for no doubt, he would die on that day. If that was the case, what was the harm to save a person by tarnishing his dignity? Just as Nalan Hu's knees were about to land on the ground, the middle-aged man grabbed the sword from Liu Yunxiao's hand by his surprise, and the middle-aged man plunged it through his own chest. Nalan Hu's body went stiff. Blood splattered and splashed onto Nalan Hu's face. His body froze as he could only stare at the man falling to the ground. Liu Yunxiao was shocked. He had never thought that the man would be doing this. He could not come to his senses for quite a while. Old General, the man lay his face flat on the ground as the blood covered the whole ground in red. You are a hero. My wife and daughter got killed by him just now. I don't want to survive in disgrace and let a hero lose his dignity. Liu Yun Kingdom had been peaceful for decades because of the Nalan family. Everyone from the Nalan family was a hero. A hero can shed no tears but only blood. Nalan Hu's old face was covered in tears. He struck out a violent gust of wind with the long sword in his hand, and suddenly, the gust had reached Liu Yunxiao. You Liu family bastard, I want you to die. Chapter 380, When the kingdom is under attack, stand up and fight back. Liu Yunxiao's face suddenly darkened. Nalan Hu, how dare you to disobey my command? Don't forget that I have still plenty of hostages in my hand. Do you want all of this rubbish to die? Perhaps that man had somehow encouraged all the people to fight back when he started to fight back. The people, whom Liu Yunxiao regarded as rubbish, seemed to have forgotten to cry and wail at the moment. They crawled up from the ground as their eyes were filled with anger and determination. They knew what was going on even if they were just ordinary people. How could the eggs stay unbroken when the nest is overturned one? If Liu Yun Kingdom was destroyed, how would there still be a place for them to stay? Besides, the old general was a hero. They could not bear to let the hero be humiliated, or to make him lose his hope. Liu Yunxiao turned back and took a glance. He was shocked again to see all the ordinary people rushing toward the army of 4 countries. They were all ordinary people with no weapons in their hands. They could not even endure an attack under the power of the army of 4 countries. Why? How could they be so brave? Did they not want to live? Liu Yunxiao could never fathom this. Human nature should be selfish in his eyes. The humans are creatures that like to bully the weak but are afraid of the stronger ones. Humans are scared of death and would do anything to survive. There should not be a human who would still rush forward without any hesitation when they knew well that the way ahead was a dead end. Nalan, whose eyes were teary and filled with anger. A mighty gust blew around him. Just like a hurricane, his sword roared and rushed forward violently. When Liu Yunxiao came to his senses, he met that anger eyes and quickly used his sword to defend the gust. Clang! That brutal force shook and made his arms go numb. He took a few steps back and looked at a spirit warrior beside him and said, "General Ling, help me to deal with this old thing." Ling Yu nodded, and then he was in front of Nalan, who, "Old General Nalan, you looked just fine." Ling Yu, the general of Ziyun Kingdom, had met and fought with Nalan who a couple of times before. After all, they were old friends. So he thought that Nalan who would respond to him no matter what had happened. But Nalan who had broken into his vision without saying another word. Ling Yu slightly frowned and smiled. "You have the same old temper, my hot-tempered pal. I would really admire you if we let go of all the political connections and hatred. However, I'm the general of Ziyun Kingdom, and you're the general of Liu Yun Kingdom. We are destined to be enemies forever." The long sword of a spirit warrior slashed Tang Zi's silky hair and cut it. Her face was cold without any expression on it. But the anger inside her heart was obvious and noticeable. The Empress of Liu Yun Kingdom, Nalan Yang, she was just like the mother of the world as everyone was her son and daughter. When the Prince of Long-Ao Kingdom was arbitrarily killing the people of Liu Yun Kingdom, she would bring her people and attack Long-Ao Kingdom. She had forced that prince into death. But now, scores of people were being killed in the imperial city of Liu Yun Kingdom. How painful it would be for the Empress to know what had happened in the kingdom. Tang Zi's body was trembling. Because she knew that the Empress could not bear anyone killing the people in Liu Yun Kingdom. "You forgot the Empress' words." Tang Zi held a long sword in her hands. She was brave and mighty in her spirits. She said that she would kill 100 people if anyone dares to touch a people of Liu Yun Kingdom. She will destroy the country if anyone dares to touch 100 people of Liu Yun Kingdom, she sneered. Her cold eyes were filled with pride. "Don't you think you can do anything you want even if the Empress is not here? Is the doom of Long-Ao Kingdom not enough of a warning to you?" She was with the 3-striped tiger when she invaded Long-Ao Kingdom that day. However, the news had not spread yet. They thought only the masters of Liu Yun Kingdom went forward to destroy Long-Ao Kingdom as they did not know the existence of the Tier 5 spirit beasts. Chapter 381. When the kingdom is under attack, stand up and fight back too, otherwise, the troops from the 4 kingdoms would not be so daring. Tang Zi had tasked someone to inform the 3-striped tiger. It was a pity that the 3-striped tiger was still at the forest of spirit beasts, far away from the city. She needed more time. "Tang Zi, if you are willing to surrender, you could be the general of Tianxian Kingdom." An old man with an iron bomb lowered his eyes and glanced at Tang Zi. "I follow no one but Her Highness. I will always stand guard over Her Highness and never betray her for the rest of my life." Tang Zi sneered. "Don't cross the line. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless." A glimpse of viciousness flashed through the old man's eyes. In a flash, an overwhelming aura rushed toward Tang Zi. Originally, Tang Zi could barely handle a spirit warrior. With this old man joining the attack, they were far beyond her. Nevertheless, she did not take a step back. She stood rooted to the spot as she wanted to protect the Liu Yun Kingdom that was behind her. As Tang Zi could not handle them, the sword of the old man pierced through her left shoulder. In an instant, blood oozed from the wound, stained her robe red. Roar! A loud roar sounded from behind. Tang Zi turned around only to see that all the spirit beasts from the princess manor were rushing up to her. Qing Ling and Liu Li were rushing after the spirit beasts. That was not all. All the nobles and officials in the imperial city who knew about the raid, young and old, were rushing her way together with the troops. Why you all are here? Stay away. Stunned, Tang Zi knitted her brows together. It was fine for the snow wolf to be here as he was a tier 4 spirit beast. The rest of them, without attaining spirit warrior tier, was no doubt seeking their own demise. Squad leader Tang Zi, because of Her Highness, we have been taking plenty of herbal dishes. Moreover, the spirit beasts have always been helping us in the cultivation. Even though our strength is still weak, but, Liu Li pursed her lips together. This is something to do with our kingdom. No matter how weak we are, we will not sit back and do nothing. Liu paused for a while and continued. This was the matter of the rise and fall of the kingdom. All the civilians of Liu Yun Kingdom must stand up to defend their kingdom. Even if their strength was no match for the opponent, they must fight. The same went for the rest. Even though they could feel the overwhelming aura of the spirit warriors, they would never step back. At this very moment, a strange feeling seized Tang Zi's heart and she could not say a word. Besides the officials and nobles, she could see the civilians, who had not attained any warrior tier, from the tender age of 10 to 60 years of age. Howl. The snow wolf howled furiously before pouncing on the old man who attacked Tang Zi. The snow wolf was taking a nap on the mountain behind the manor. He had never thought that the imperial city would sink into chaos when he woke up. You bastard! Don't you dare to hurt my master's subordinate. If I could let this slide, I don't deserve the divine spirit fruit from my master. The old man's face slightly darkened. He took a few steps backward to catch his balance. His sword blocked the snow wolf's sharp fangs. Clang! The snow wolf bit into the sword and broke it into pieces in a flash. The sword was crispy but tasteless. Tang Zi quickly regained her focus. She knew that all of them would not leave even if she forced them. In the Chancellor's manner. Yu Chen, you must not go. Stay back. Lady Liu clung onto Liu Yuchen's thigh as she cried out loud. Chapter 382, When the Kingdom is Under Attack, Stand Up and Fight Back 3. Mother, Liu Yun Kingdom, is falling apart. Liu Yuchen's body stiffened. He paused as he talked to the lady behind his back. His eyes were filled with sorrow. This time was different from the incident in the palace. Back then, the people of Long-Ao Kingdom only wanted to challenge the Naylan family. Even if they usurped the throne, they would never devastate Liu Yun Kingdom. This time, the 4 kingdoms were working together in an attempt to wipe out Liu Yun Kingdom. Could the eggs remain unbroken when the nest was completely overturned? Rumor had it that the people of the 4 kingdoms had massacred and slaughtered civilians of Liu Yun Kingdom. Even if Liu Yuchen was such a coward, like Chancellor Liu, he knew it well that if the 4 kingdoms took over Liu Yun Kingdom, simply no one could survive. Everyone had rushed to Tang Zi's rescue to defend their homeland. Even the lady of the Mu family, Mu Qing'er, had rushed to the city's gate. Should Liu Yuchen even call himself a man to hide at his own manor now? No. Yuchen, you must not go. Let them fight for us. If they all die, you can't turn the whole situation around with your own strength. I can't live without you. Let's pack up and leave here. Lady Liu cried her heart out and held on to Liu Yuchen's thigh tightly. These people from the 4 kingdoms have surrounded the whole imperial city. Do you still think we could escape from the city? When they have successfully attacked the city, we would all die. They are truly ruthless and they will not let go of any of us. Liu Yuchen smiled wryly. You must not go. Let them fight for us. As the members of the Liu family are civil officials, naturally, we are not meant for battling. Let them make the frontal attack. You must not go. Lady Liu screamed sharply, her face was contorted in anxiety. Mother, Liu Yuchen's body stiffened even more. I have said. You are not allowed to go. If you dare to step out of this manor, I will take my own life. Lady Liu loosened her grip on Liu Yuchen's thigh, took out a dagger, and placed it near her neck. Mother, I know you are afraid of death. Startled, Liu Yuchen stared at Lady Liu for a long while before he said. One would never dare take her own life if she was afraid of dying. Liu Yuchen had always been filial and obedient. But this time, he wanted to follow his heart. Liu Yuchen turned to leave the manor. However, before he stepped out of the manor, an aura rushed up to him and hit him on his back. He fell forward, hitting his head on the ground. He could vaguely see a solemn face before he lost his consciousness. Yuchen, even if you want to die, don't put the whole Liu family in trouble. If the Four Kingdoms wiped out Liu Yun Kingdom, we can still surrender. With the strong foothold of the Liu family in this realm, the Four Kingdoms would naturally accept us. On the contrary, if you get into the battle and offended the Four Kingdoms, we are finished. He must never let Liu Yuchen put the Liu family into trouble. What was so wrong remaining alive? Why must Liu Yuchen seek his own demise? Everyone must learn to protect themselves in times of trouble. Fighting for the kingdom was total nonsense. If Liu Yun Kingdom fell apart, the Liu family could go to another kingdom for shelter. Chancellor Liu's words echoed in Liu Yuchen's ears before his vision turned dark. His eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Lady, take him away to get some rest. He is such an idiot. He does not even know what he should and shouldn't do. He is digging his own grave, Chancellor Liu said as he frowned. There were too many idiots in this world. Chapter 383, When the Kingdom is under attack, stand up and fight back. 4 At the same time, everyone gathered at Paramount. The atmosphere was full of sorrow. You haven't reached the young master yet. Half a month ago, something had happened in the clan and the 9th young master had gone back to the clan together with some masters. No one had ever seen him since. However, they could hardly reach the young master on normal days. They had gotten used to it. This time, the Four Kingdoms had worked together to attack Liu Yun Kingdom. They wanted to know what was on the young master's mind and were waiting for his command. Should we help them? Paramount does not belong to Liu Yun Kingdom. By right, we need not help. However, the young master truly cares for Her Highness Feng Ruching. If we sit back and do nothing, we might offend the young master. A young man furrowed his brows with a nagging feeling in his heart. As the headquarters of Paramount was not located in Liu Yun Kingdom, there were not many masters here. The only dark warrior had left with the young master and there were only 2 to 3 spirit warriors left in Paramount of Liu Yun Kingdom. They truly had no idea if they were capable of helping Liu Yun Kingdom. Most importantly, they wanted to know the young master's decision. If the young master decided to help, these spirit warriors would not hesitate to risk their lives for the kingdom. His brows knitted together, and one of them was raised. The young master seems to like Her Highness Feng Ruching very much. If he knows that we didn't help her, he would explode with rage. Fenglan, why don't you get into the palace? I heard that someone has sneaked into the palace. Zhao Shi and I will rush to the city's gate. Fenglan was the only lady out of the 3 persons. All right. She nodded slightly. The young master had always been keeping a close eye on Feng Ruching. He must have fallen for her. Hence, the people in Paramount must not turn a blind eye to Liu Yun Kingdom. In the Yangshin Hall, half sitting on the bed, Feng Tianyu coughed softly, his face was ghastly pale. He moved backward and let his head rested against the wall. Eunuch Ling, how long have you been serving me? This old servant had started serving your majesty ever since you were still a crown prince. Slightly startled, Eunuch Ling, who was still waiting beside Feng Tianyu, smiled wryly. Feng Tianyu smiled wryly and took out a jade ring under the pillow. The jade ring was so beautiful. It was translucent and glistening like a crystal. Eunuch Ling, please leave the palace for Feng Ruching. Give her this ring. I sent this, the previous emperor's. A look of disbelief and shock crept into Eunuch Ling's eyes. Eunuch Ling, my father gave this to me before he left the palace. Take this ring as a pledge of our relationship so my father knows that she is his granddaughter. Chinga is very talented. One day later, she would go into that place and meet him. With my poor health, I am afraid that I would never get into that place. Feng Tianyu closed his eyes slowly as he said in a weak voice. The whole realm only knew that the former emperor was the emperor of Liu Yun Kingdom and commanded the greatest respect. Simply no one knew the former emperor's other identity. However, the former emperor had entered that place and could never return for the rest of his life. As for Feng Tenayu, not only did he had poor health, he had devoted himself entirely to the kingdom and state affairs. Hence, he did not have much time for cultivation. Moreover, Feng Ruqing was not capable of handling the kingdom affairs previously. Hence, he could not leave the palace for cultivation. Perhaps, he could never meet his father for the rest of his life. It was fortunate that Feng Ruqing had changed. She was extremely talented. Perhaps, there was still a chance. Chapter 384. He does not want her to feel lonely and helpless. Your Majesty, doesn't the former emperor? Eunuch Lin bit back his words in shock. His Majesty said that the former emperor is still alive. If that was true, His Majesty and Empress Nalan would not have to suffer the hardships and no one would have dared to mistreat them. He is still alive, but he had a contract with those people that he would leave the city and never return to this place for the rest of his life. Feng Tianyu smiled wryly as he shook his head. By doing this, the whole realm would regain its peace and tranquility. Eunuch Lin, my father had exchanged his lifetime freedom for the peace of this realm. Otherwise, simply no one knows if the 5 kingdoms would still exist. If he knew that the people of the 4 kingdoms are attacking us, would he regret it? Feng Tianyu heaved a sigh melancholically. When Feng Tianyu was still young, he was reading the memorial when his father had rushed up to him with his body covered in blood to bid him farewell. Only then he realized his father's actual strength. His father had battled with a group of people for 3 days and came in neck and neck. The former emperor could not help but draw a contract with those people to stop them from massacring the people of Liu Yun Kingdom or hurting anyone around him. He had gone to a place without any way to turn back. In return, 3 influencers from the reclusive world were selected to stop anyone in the reclusive world from laying his hands on the civilians in the secular world. Whoever broke the promise would suffer the vessels of wrath. Your Majesty, the former emperor truly cares for the kingdom. Moreover, he never knew that there were actually other people who would harm Your Majesty and Empress Nalan besides the people from the reclusive world. Eunuch Lin sighed softly. I did not understand his decision back then. If I were him, I would not give up my freedom for the kingdom's well-being. Nothing is more important than my own family. Feng Tianyu smiled wryly. However, later on, I begin to understand. My father is the real emperor who reigns over the kingdom. He had concealed his own strength as he had long planned to get into the reclusive world. He was worried that those people would take revenge on him and hurt me. Hence, he had tasked me to handle all the kingdom affairs to train me. He was a father and the emperor of Liu Yun Kingdom. He wanted to protect me and, at the same time, keep an eye on the whole kingdom. Even though I am no match for him, I had always admired him. Ever since Feng Tianyu fell sick, he could hardly talk. Now, he was explaining so much as if he was afraid that Feng Ruqing would not know about this. Hence, he told Eunuch Lin everything. Your Majesty, you are a wise emperor too. Eunuch Lin's voice was trembling. No, I am just a father. Feng Tianyu shook his head with a smile on his face. He would never leave his daughter behind for his life. Eunuch Lin, Qing'er went to the Tang family. Take this jade ring and look for her. Tell her not to come back to Liu Yun Kingdom again. She is my only daughter. She must not die. Tell her not to avenge me without being sure that she will succeed. Feng Tianyu smiled faintly. Liu Yun Kingdom's enemies were not only the 4 kingdoms. Since the Liu family was part of this attack, that influencer had taken part too. Feng Tianyu did not want Feng Ruqing to deal with such great trouble before she was fully grown up. Chapter 385. He does not want her to feel lonely and helpless. To Your Majesty, I don't want to leave you. Please let this old servant stay with you. Eunuch Lin nearly burst into tears. Eunuch Lin, Liu Yun Kingdom's number is up. Since you are quite close to Qing'er, stay with her. I am worried that there is no one close to her by her side in the future. How can I leave her alone and helpless? Feng Tianyu's eyes were filled with pain. Eunuch Lin's body trembled slightly. Feng Tianyu was right. Everyone that Feng Ruching loved, the Naylan family, the iron-blooded army, the spirit beasts, and the two little maidens were all in the Liu Yun kingdom. If the kingdom had truly fallen, Feng Ruching would be all alone. Thinking of his, eunuch Lin's heart was broken. Your Majesty, don't worry, I will take good care of Her Highness. Eunuch Lin's eyes were flooded with tears as he was reluctant to leave. Ever since Eunuch Lin was little, he had entered the Crown Prince Manor and served the Emperor for his whole life. How could he leave the Emperor now? However, he could never leave the princess all alone, helpless. Feng Tianyu broke into a smile. An exquisitely gorgeous face flashed before his eyes. She was still as stunning as she was when they first met. Her dazzling smile was like a Cupid's arrow, piercing his heart, and he could never let go of her for the rest of his life. Yang, I can finally see you. I would be so proud to tell you that our daughter has turned out to be such an amazing lady when I meet you in the underworld. Naylan Yang told Feng Tianyu that if she departed this life before him, she would wait for him under the Bridge of Helplessness and drink Meng Po soup together with him so they could be a couple again in their next lives. Now that Feng Tianyu had brought up their daughter, he could finally meet his late wife. She was no longer waiting for him alone, glancing at the people coming and going in the underworld. A drop of tear fell from the corner of Feng Tianyu's eyes. He began to cough violently and blood gushed out from his mouth. Collapsing to the bed, his face was drained of color. His dignified demeanor vanished in an instant. Your Majesty. Eunuch Lin kneeled down beside the bed, his words were choked by sobbing. Cough. Cough. Go now. If you don't leave now, you may not be able to leave later, Feng Tian coughed as he said. As soon as Feng Tianyu finished his words, the door of the Yangshin Hall creaked open. Stunned, Feng Tianyu turned his head sideways only to see a lady in a violet robe standing at the door. Ding, ding. With a cold smile on her face, Liu Rong stepped into the hall, the golden dangling ornaments on her hair jingled as she walked. The sound was extremely awkward in a hall that was dead silent. Your Majesty, your consort is here to serve you. Currently, I am the only one who can serve you in the palace. A faint smile hung on Liu Rong's lips. Why are you here? Seeing Liu Rong, Feng Tianyu's face darkened. Your Majesty, you don't want to see me? Back then at the Flowers Feast, I have fallen for you at first sight. However, you only had eyes for Naylan Yang. I was such a fool to give you my heart. Liu Rong paused and let out a boisterous laugh. My heart is so tiny that it can only keep Yang. Even the whole realm is no match for her. As for you, you are no match for the whole realm. How can you compare yourself with her? Feng Tianyu smirked. Hearing this, Naylan Yang's face contorted with rage. What is so good about Naylan Yang? You were so in love with her when she was alive. Now that she is dead, you still love her. I have drugged you and had almost slept with you. But she was still on your mind even when you lost consciousness. Chapter 386. He does not want her to feel lonely and helpless. 3 Back then, as Liu Rong was extremely lonely in the cold palace she could not resist the temptation and got pregnant with Feng Rushuang. However, if this was made known to others, she would definitely lose her life. Moreover, Liu Rong was so in love with Feng Tianyu. She could not resign herself to the fact that Feng Tianyu did not love her back. Hence, she listened to him and drugged Feng Tianyu. The drug was no ordinary filter. It was so extremely strong that it could make Feng Tianyu mistake Liu Rong for the lady that he loved the most. Liu Rong thought that she could get close to his heart by doing this. However, Feng Tianyu could actually tell the difference, at first sight. He knew that Liu Rong was not Naylan Yang and had nearly hurt her. It was fortunate that Feng Tianyu had lost his senses being drugged. When he woke up, he had forgotten everything that he did. Liu Rong wanted Feng Tianyu to think that he had slept with her and that Feng Ruhuang was his biological daughter. Haha. Even if Feng Tianyu is smart, he has actually been deceived for years. Feng Tianyu, Liu Yun Kingdom's number is up. The whole Naylan family is gone. You will never know that you did not sleep with me even when you die. Shuang'er, who has always been calling you her father, is not your biological daughter. Liu Rong sneered. Hearing this, Feng Tianyu was still calm and composed as if he knew it long ago. Aren't you angry? I have hurt your dignity. You are the emperor of Liu Yun Kingdom but have actually been cheated for so long. Seeing Feng Tian's reaction, Liu Rong's face darkened a few shades. Liu Rong, you don't know me. You have no idea about the relationship between Yang and I. Feng Tianyu smiled faintly. Dumbfounded, Liu Rong stared at Feng Tianyu in bewilderment. I have never mistaken you for Yang even when I was drunk or drugged. Her spirit had been deeply engraved in my bone. Even if I mistook your face for hers, I would never mistake you for her. Feng Tianyu, how could you know? Liu Rong's body stiffened. Liu Rong only told Feng Tianyu that he did not sleep with her. How did he know that he was drugged and mistook her for Neilan Yang? Liu Rong, I knew very well that Feng Rushuang is not my daughter a long time ago. Feng Tianyu had been showing Feng Ruqing so much of love and affection, but Feng Rushuang did not get the slightest bit of it, as Feng Tianyu knew that Feng Rushuang was not his biological daughter. In fact, I knew that you had an affair with someone in the reclusive world. Feng Rushuang is associated with him too. Otherwise, you would have died long ago. I still spared your life even if you have done so many wrongdoings. Do you truly think that I am so patient? I just want to know who that person is. Feng Tianyu sighed. That person had taken Neilan Yang's life and Feng Tianyu had been searching for him for a long time, but all his efforts had gone down the drain. Who could he be? However, I regret that I had devoted myself entirely to taking revenge and never thought that you would lay your hand on Qing'er. Originally, I thought that the person in the reclusive world wanted to kill me through you. Little did I know that you would actually target Feng Ruqing. Feng Tianyu sighed. Later on, Feng Tianyu regretted the things that he did, but it was too late. He spared Liu Rong's life back then, as he knew that Liu Rong was associated with the person in the reclusive world. If he had killed Liu Rong, he was no doubt beating the grass to startle the snake. One he feared that he would never know who the mastermind was. Chapter 387. He does not want her to feel lonely and helpless, for if only Feng Tianyu knew that Feng Ruqing would be so close to Liu Rong, he would not hesitate to alert the mastermind behind this and penalize Liu Rong with any excuse. Hearing Feng Tianyu, Liu Rong's eyes darkened. In fact, approaching Feng Ruqing was her own plan. As she had hated Neilan Yang, she wanted to ruin her daughter. She wanted Feng Ruqing to be separated from her kin and live in Feng Rushuang's shadow for the rest of her life. Liu Rong, that person from the Divine Herbs sect. Feng Rushuang's biological father is here. Am I right? Feng Tianyu smirked. The Divine Herbs sect. That person had always been hiding and did not dare to lay his hand on Feng Tianyu for years, as he did not want Feng Tianyu to know his true identity or get penalized for breaking the rules. Feng Tianyu only knew this 2 days ago through Liu Rong. However, it was too late. Feng Tianyu could never avenge Neilan Yang. He only wished that he could bring this message to Feng Ruqing so she knew who her true enemy was. Feng Tianyu, no matter what, you have lost. Liu Rong walked up to Feng Tianyu as she stared at him affectionately. The wrath in her eyes vanished without a trace. Liu Rong was truly in love with this man. As she knew that she could never see him again, she wanted to look at him as long as she could. Feng Tianyu smiled faintly. His stunning face was still calm and nonchalant. No, I haven't lost. My love for Yang is never lost. Even if Feng Tianyu had lost the whole realm, he did not lose Yang. The whole realm was no match for her. The only thing that Feng Tianyu wanted was Neilan Yang. Hence, Feng Tianyu truly admired his father, as his father could give up everything for the peace of this realm. Feng Tianyu, Neilan Yang is nothing but a jinx. She caused the fall of Liu Yun Kingdom. Seeing Feng Tianyu's affectionate gaze, Liu Rong was burning with jealousy. A beauty had always been a scourge. This was especially true for Neilan Yang, whose beauty could overthrow the kingdom. She was the root of all troubles. Feng Tianyu, let me tell you this. It's all because of Neilan Yang. It is her beauty that had attracted the young master of Divine Herbs sect, Zhenyang. She seduced him but did not want to be his wife. Hence, everything that happened to Liu Yun Kingdom is all because of her. Liu Rong sneered as she suppressed the anger. Not only was Nalan Yang still in Feng Tianyu's mind, but even young Master Zhen Yang also kept murmuring her name when he slept with Liu Rong. She did not know why all the men had changed once they met Nalan Yang. The young Master Zhen Yang did not even get married all these years because of Nalan Yang. Even though he had plenty of beautiful concubines, none of them were made the principal wife. Apparently, Liu Rong did not fall for young Master Zhen Yang. She was just taking what she needed from him. However, she could not resign herself to the fact that there were plenty of decent men who fell for Nalan Yang. What is the purpose of telling me this? Even if someone had taken her away, as long as she is alive, I would still have the chance to win back her heart. However, once she is dead, there is nothing I can do. Feng Tianyu smiled wryly. Chapter 388. Qin Chen I How Feng Tianyu wished that Nalan Yang was still alive and stayed at a place in Kangyu mainland. Even if Nalan Yang was taken away by the people who drooled over her beauty, so long as she was still alive, Feng Tianyu did not care if she was all alone or she already had someone by her side. He did not even care if she had given her heart away and did not want to come back to him. He only wished her to be still alive. Nalan Yang is beautiful, but it is not her fault. The people of Divine Herb's sect had taken my wife away. She was the most innocent person. Feng Tianyu's eyes were fixed on Liu Rong. It was not Nalan Yang's fault. She was innocent and she had lost her life because of her beauty. It was those people who drooled over her beauty to be blamed. Feng Tianyu did not allow anyone to point her finger at Nalan Yang. Burning with jealousy, Liu Rong quickly unsheathed her sword and pointed it at Feng Tianyu. Feng Tianyu, I want you to call Nalan Yang a slut. Say it. Feng Tianyu merely closed his eyes with a smile on his face. My Yanga is the best lady that I have ever met. She is unparalleled in the whole realm. Feng Tianyu, are you still the emperor who stood aloof from the masses and the top of Liu Yun Kingdom? Now, you are just as weak as a chicken. Do you truly think that I won't kill you because I love you? If you don't do as what I said, I will kill you. With the sword in her grip, Liu Rong's hand was trembling. Her eyes were blazing with rage. Originally, Eunuch Ling only stared at both of them and did not utter a word as he wanted to know more details. However, seeing Liu Rong who was so daring and pointed the sword at Feng Tianyu, he could not resist the anger and rushed forward to take the sword away from Liu Rong. Even though Liu Rong was lack of talent, at this time, she was as if attained a great strength. She kicked Eunuch Ling at his pants and had sent him flying in the air. You swine. You truly think that I don't know you always go against me all these years? I will deal with you later. Eunuch Ling spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were burning with rage as he stared at Liu Rong. Advanced True Warrior Tier. It was just one step away from Spirit Warrior Tier. You are doping, aren't you? Feng Tianyu had no idea since when Liu Rong had gone this far. Some of spirit herbs had been forbidden as these spirit herbs could enhance the cultivator's strength and made a breakthrough in a snap of finger. However, the side effect was inexhaustible. Hence, they were forbidden in the reclusive world, let alone the secular world. Liu Rong must have attained the advanced True Warrior Tier because of doping. Otherwise, she could hardly do that for her whole life. Feng Tianyu, both you and Nalan Yang had failed me so many times. Don't you ever feel bad for me? Liu Rong's bloodshot eyes turned extremely ferocious. Both of us have a clear conscience. Feng Tianyu merely sneered. Ha, clear conscience. Firstly, ever since I stepped into the palace, you have never come into my manor. Secondly, you have never slept with me. Thirdly, Nalan Yang is so overbearing that she is the only person who enjoyed all your love and affection. Don't you dare to say that you never fail me. Liu Rong let out a boisterous laugh. Chapter 389. Qin Chen Tu. A woman's most beautiful and wonderful years were spent at the palace. She was willing to enter the palace because of love. But, all she got was a lifetime of pain and grief. This is all Nalan Yang's fault. It was she who was so selfish and overbearing. She prohibited His Majesty from entering our bedrooms. If not, there wouldn't have been so much trouble. Yang and I want to tell you that you'll be living a lonely life here if you enter the palace. I'll never be with any of you. If you're unwilling, we'll let you go even if we're under great pressure. But still, you'll have to face the consequences if you make this decision. The emperor chose to leave when he was young and weak. Liu Yunxiao brought along a group of people and forced him to marry the concubine, and he was under great pressure. At last, Yang made that decision because she could not endure the sight of him under great pressure. But they gave the women the opportunity to choose for themselves. The emperor and Yang were never selfish people. They would not want to ruin those women's lives because of the pressure given by the ministers. If they wanted to leave, the emperor would surely let them go even if the pressure was high. But those women were greedy and they desired the wealth in the palace, so they chose not to leave. So, they must endure the consequences. The emperor was not a kind person either. He would not betray Yang for the sake of those women. No. It's your fault. Liu Rong was mad now. It was you who have destroyed me. You're the emperor. You should have a lot of women with you. Why did you have to be loyal to only one? She had ruined my happiness. She deserved to die. So what if my father pressured him into marrying the concubines? He should have a lot of women. He should never be loyal to only one. Feng Tianyu raised his hand shakily. A slap came with the wind and he slapped Liu Rong on the face. He used a lot of force in this slap and Liu Rong's body was flung away. She fell to the ground. Feng Tianyu coughed. He vomited a mouthful of blood after he slapped Liu Rong. His handsome face turned pale and his body was weak. Liu Rong stared at him unbelievably. Feng Tianyu was poisoned and he could not use spiritual force. If he chose to use it, the poison would spread in his body deeply. This bastard just hit me because I criticized Nailin Yang. He is not afraid to die. Why? Is it because he loves her so much that even I cannot badmouth her? Liu Rong almost exploded with anger. She shouted maniacally. She held a sword in her hand and rushed toward Feng Tianyu. Feng Tianyu, I'll send you to be with her today. Since you love her so much and you won't even give me some of your love, then you better go and be with her. Liu Rong's steps became heavy after walking a few steps. She lowered her eyes and saw that Eunuch Lin was holding onto her legs tightly. Eunuch Lin did not want her to move forward. Get lost. Liu Rong did not want to kill Eunuch Lin just yet. She wanted him alive so that she could harm him in various ways in the future. So, she kicked at Eunuch Lin harshly. She wanted him to leave. Eunuch Lin endured the kick completely, but he still did not let go of his hand. He hugged Liu Rong's legs tightly. Come. Come quickly. Come and protect His Highness. Faster, come and protect His Highness. Liu Rong kicked Eunuch Lin's body angrily. Don't shout anymore. Those people aren't there. Nobody would come and save him. I'll kill you first if you won't let go. There was blood on Eunuch Lin's mouth. He had lost some of his teeth too. She put her leg on Eunuch Lin's head heavily. She even kicked his head hard, twice. This eunuch deserves it. You can't blame me since you were seeking death yourself. Liu Rong's eyes seemed cold. She drew out her sword and stabbed his head. Eunuch Lin felt a deep chill down his spine but still did not let go of his hands. Chapter 390. Qin Chen 3. He did not believe that all the people in the palace had died. There will be somebody coming to the rescue if I could earn some extra time for His Majesty. Even if it's only a minute or a second. The cold wind blew. Eunuch Lin closed his eyes slowly. There was great pain on his face. Your Majesty, I still have not gone and look for the princess in the end. It seems that the princess will finally be left all alone. Suddenly, a long sword slashed through the air and cut Liu Rong's palm into half. Liu Rong's voice was filled with pain and it was heard at that moment. Ah! Eunuch Lin thought that he was going to die, but he realized that the pain did not come. Soon, he heard Liu Rong's cry of pain. He was stunned. He turned and saw a woman in green who had brought along a group of people. They came through the door. Feng Lan soon breathed a sigh of relief when she found that Feng Tianyu was safe. She walked forward slowly and held up her fist. She said, Your Majesty, I'm Feng Lan from Paramount. We have come to save you under the order of the 9th young master. The young master had feelings for the princess. So, she needed to leave a good impression here for the young master as she was his subordinate. The young master would surely be happy when he was back. Liu Rong's hand was bleeding ceaselessly. She almost fainted with pain. Liu Rong regretted now. She regretted that she had talked so much with Feng Tianyu. I should have killed the eunuch first before killing Feng Tianyu. She never thought that the people from Paramount would have come and helped them. Thank you, Feng Tianyu gave a bitter smile. But, it's better if you leave. It's the Divine Herbs sect who wants to destroy Liu Yun Kingdom. The Divine Herbs sect. Feng Lan was frightened when she heard those 3 words. Isn't it a conspiracy among the 4 kingdoms? Why is the Divine Herbs sect a part of it? But, it was too late now that she had come. If the Divine Herbs sect had intervened in that matter, they would surely know of her role there. It was no use crying over spilled milk. She had no choice but to complete what she had started. Your Majesty, we might as well stay and help you now that we have come, given that we have offended them. I'll be unable to explain to my young master if I cannot save you. Feng Tianyu's mouth moved just a bit. I'm unable to leave now that my body has become like this. Lady Feng, can I ask for a favor from you? What kind of favor, Your Majesty? Take him out of here. Feng Tianyu's eyes fell on Eunuch Lin. Take him out of here. I don't want Chinga to be alone in this world without anybody here to take care of her. If it's possible, please bring me to General Manor. Then, you can bring Daya and the general's wife with you. Feng Tianyu knew that Master Nalan would never leave the kingdom when there was a crisis. But, he wanted to leave some hope for the Nalan family. If he guessed it right, the Divine Herbs sect had secretly interfered with the war happening at the border of the kingdom. Then, there would be spirit warriors at the battlefield. Jing'e and Zhongqian might not be able to come back too. Feng Tianyu's heart was in great pain when he thought of this. All of them were Yang'e relatives, but he could not even protect them. Then, Feng Lan looked at Feng Tianyu in shock. Feng Tianyu smiled. I cannot get up and move. It's difficult for you to leave if you bring me along. Why don't you bring Daya and the general's wife here so that he'll be able to explain to Yang'e later when I meet her in the afterlife? Feng Tianyu was seriously ill. If he left with them, he would be a burden to them. It's better to put the hope to live on General Manor. If not, Yang'e would surely blame him for not protecting the Nalan family. Chapter 391, Qin Chen for Feng Lan was touched. The Emperor of Liu Yun Kingdom was indeed loyal to his late wife. The Empress had died for so many years but he still missed her so much. Now, he only had Feng Ruqing and Feng Rushuang as his children. Your Highness, don't worry. I'll bring them out of here safely. Feng Lan realized that Feng Tianyu had made his decision. So, she did not persuade him to leave. Then, she turned and wanted to leave the palace. The whole imperial city was in chaos now. General Manor must be in great danger too. Feng Lan needed to be quick if she wanted to save them. There was a calm voice outside of Yangshin Hall at that moment. But, the voice was thunderous. It was loud. You have to stay given that you've interfered with the matter. Feng Lan's body froze. She turned and looked out of the hall. She saw a few people entering her vision. 5 spirit warriors. Feng Lan was shocked. Didn't they say that the spirit warriors of the 4 kingdoms had gone to the entrance of the city? Why are there spirit warriors here inside of the palace? Are they, the people of the Divine Spirit sect? No. It shouldn't be. The people of Divine Spirit sect are not so brave as to break those laws. That person has concealed himself for so many years and he has not done anything to Feng Tianyu because he was afraid of those laws. So, he would never allow those people to interfere now. If not, his life would be ruined if he left any evidence behind. Is it you? Feng Tianyu coughed twice. He vomited a mouthful of blood. His eyes fell on a middle-aged man. He was surprised. Are you Lin Iyo? Long ago, Feng Tianyu had gone out with Yang'e when he was still a prince. They met a reckless young master from the Lin family at the market. Lin Eo did not know of Feng Tianyu's status as a prince. He picked up a fight with Feng Tianyu because he had fallen in love at first sight with Yang. So, Feng Tianyu beat him so hard out of anger. I never thought that hell make the breakthrough to Spirit Warrior tier. Feng Tianyu's eyes narrowed. Did you consume forbidden medicine too? Lin Eo laughed coldly. Feng Tianyu, you humiliated me that year. Did you ever think that you'll be defeated by me one day? Feng Tianyu was calm. He did not have any emotion other than the shock he felt at first. Feng Tianyu never cared about Lin Eo. He just dreaded the divine spirit sect. Lady Feng. Feng Tianyu smiled helplessly. It's me who burdens you today. Feng Lan frowned slightly. There were people with great strength here among the spirit warriors. She alone might not be able to beat them. It'll be better if the young master is here. It'll be better if the elders are here even if the young master is absent. They could not protect Liu Yun Kingdom with only a few of them. Liu Rong was in great pain. She was breaking out in cold sweat. She stared at Feng Lan with hatred. Kill her. Kill that woman. Just shut up. Lin Eo slapped her hard. Liu Rong had not even recovered and she was hit again. She fell down to the floor and vomited a mouthful of blood. Her face was pale. How dare you hit me? Liu Rong was infuriated. I'm the young master's woman. How dare you hit me? You're just a useless person. You're useless for the young master given that you're just another woman. Moreover, Liu Rong was a married woman. The young master only took advantage of her because she was gullible. Lin Eo drew out his long sword when he was done talking. Soon, he came to stand in front of the bed. Feng Lan moved fast and he blocked Lin Eo in his path. She held up her sword and forced Lin Eo to retreat a few steps. Chapter 392. Qin Chen v. the other spirit warriors had also made a move. The people from Paramount were not spirit warriors. They were not a match for the spirit warriors. They were soon defeated. The palace was immersed in a pool of blood. The sun was even brighter. Damn it. Feng Lan gritted her teeth grudgingly. She would not be able to protect the others by looking at the situation now. Moreover, she might be killed there. Another spirit warrior made a strike on Feng Lan when she was distracted. Feng Lan's shoulder was hit with a heavy slap. She staggered. She nearly fell because of the strike but she held on to herself strongly. Lady Feng, don't bother about me, Feng Tianyu said calmly. It's not a problem for you to leave here. They are here for me. Just go. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Feng Tianyu did not understand why the people from Paramount wanted to save him. But, he did know that he would die. There's no need to make unnecessary sacrifices. Feng Tianyu was not afraid to die. He was just worried about Qing'e. Feng Tianyu got up from his bed without knowing where his strength came from. He got up slowly and got down from his bed in staggering steps. He could not even stand firmly but his back was straight. He stood there proudly. A man's waist should never be bent. Facing death, one should stand up straight. I'll never let anyone look down on Liu Yun Kingdom. I'm here if you want to kill me. But, I, Feng Tianyu, never regretted the things I have done. Lin Eo did not talk much with Feng Tianyu. He walked toward Feng Tianyu and looked down at him condescendingly. Just as you wish. Feng Tianyu smiled. He was not afraid. His self-esteem did not allow him to lose any dignity no matter how his destiny would be. He did not care whether he was going to die or live that day. Lin Eo raised his long sword. No. Eunuch Lin was frightened. He rushed toward Lin Eo anxiously. But, he was too late. He saw Lin Yiyu's sword falling in front of him. The sword stabbed the body with a deep sound. The blood gushed out and it splashed onto Eunuch Lin's face. Lin Eo smiled triumphantly. But, his body fell backward and he fell down on the floor with a thud. Blood gushed out from Lin Yiyu's back. It soon stained the floor. Eunuch Lin was clearly in great shock. His face was pale like a sheet of paper. His heart beat shakily. The others were shocked. They looked at Lin Eo who was on the ground, laying in a pool of blood. Then, They turned toward the door. The sun burned brightly and it shone dazzlingly. A youth's slim body stood under the bright sun. His slim body was covered with a weird black long robe. His handsome face was cold and distant. There was a light scar on his left cheek. It made his presence even colder. Liu Rong nearly went mad. The people from Paramount had interrupted her when she tried to kill Feng Tianyu just now. Half of her palm was gone because of that. Feng Tianyu was nearly killed. But it was stopped by an unknown youth who killed the spirit warrior. Why? Why is there always somebody coming to the rescue now that Liu Yun Kingdom has become like this? Who are you? Feng Tianyu was shocked. Qin Chen came to the palace with Feng Ruching a few times before. But he was quiet and he never went to meet Feng Tianyu with Feng Ruching. So, this was the first time Feng Tianyu had met Qin Chen. Somehow, Feng Tianyu had a good impression of the youth when he first saw him. It might be because of the youth's action in rescuing him now that the situation was as such. Chapter 393. The heroic spirit never dies. Who are you? The spirit warrior's facial expressions changed. The youth seemed quite young. He had that kind of strength. When did Liu Yun Kingdom have that kind of genius? Qin Chen never liked to talk to anybody. He only liked to kill people. Those people did not receive any response from Qin Chen. But they were faced with Qin Chen's multiple attacks. The spirit warrior was soon stabbed in his chest with a long sword. His body froze and blood was gushing out of his chest. His whole body slumped forward and he soon lost his breath. Feng Tianyu was stunned. He fixed his eyes upon the youth's handsome face. "You're Qin Chen." Qin Chen seemed cold and expressionless. "My name." Blood was everywhere at the entrance of the imperial city. Many heroes had lost in this war. There were also many heroic spirits who had lost their lives in this war. Their strength was weak. They could not change much of the situation. But they were powerful heroes too. Everyone. Nalan, who used his own sword to block a few attacks. He stood in the wild wind with perseverance as strong as iron. Nalan, who, promise right here that we'll definitely mark down your names as long as there's somebody in the Nalan family. We'll never forget this war in Liu Yun Kingdom. Heroes were not labeled as heroes because they were powerful. They were heroes because they had a loyal heart to protect their kingdom against the attack of the enemies. However, heroes should never be forgotten. Their names must be written down and engraved on stone monuments. Their names should be passed down from generation to generation. Another old man was beaten and had fallen. Nalan, who remembered him. He was the grand tutor who had resigned from his position 10 years ago. Tan Shuang's father became the grand tutor because of his resignation. He was no longer a minister of the palace. But he still came and joined the war because he was loyal to the kingdom. Nalan, who also remembered the youth who had fallen beside him. It was the grandson of the bakery family in Western Street. He was only a civilian. But his loyalty was unbeatable. Nalan, who was grieving. His anger increased with every minute. He still fought on strongly, facing those two spirit warriors. He did that because the others would be able to kill more people if he could hang on for a little longer. But this war was just taking too long. It was so long that he felt exhausted. It was so long that he might faint any minute now. Nalan, whose eyesight began to fade. He did not know whether it was because of his exhaustion or that sweat was blurring his vision. Liu Yunxiao's long sword came like lightning. It soon entered his vision. Nalan, who raised his sword quickly and blocked Liu Yunxiao's long sword. He took a few steps back from the strong attack. There was a long and deep mark on the ground. Nalan, who coughed and vomited a mouthful of blood. He staggered and his long sword was firmly stabbed into the ground. His back was still upright. He was like a cold pine tree that was not afraid of the cold and the rain. Liu Yun Kingdom will never be destroyed as long as the Nalan family is still here. Nalan, whose thunderous voice sounded. The soldiers of the Nalan family raised their weapons high and their firm and loud voices were heard ceaselessly under the bright sun. The Nalan family will never be beaten. Liu Yun Kingdom will never be destroyed. Attack. This war was the most difficult war faced by the Nalan family. They would never have asked the spirit warriors to join the war before this for the safety of the kingdom. Chapter 394. The heroic spirit never dies too, but the four kingdoms were united now just to destroy Liu Yun Kingdom. The soldiers of the Nalan family had foregone the issue of sacrificing themselves in the war. Their eyes were swollen when they heard what Master Nalan had said. They did not care much about their lives anymore as they rushed into the battlefield. Those people had their own families too. Who would choose death if they could live? But they were soldiers and they must protect the kingdom. Moreover, where would they be if there was no more kingdom? They must rush forward for their kingdom and their families too. This was the mission and mentality of a soldier. Nalan, whose eyes were swollen. He looked at the brave soldiers who had no fear in the face of death. He bowed to them respectfully. Then, he rushed toward the four kingdoms of killers. No one retreated from the beginning to the end. It was because there was something behind them that they must protect even though they were going to die. Nalan, whose shoulder was stabbed. Blood gushed out and his body shook a little. Then, he continued to fight. He would put in the most effort he could give to fight against the invading enemies even though there was only a little bit of strength left in him. Master Nalan, Qin Feiyang looked at him sadly. Go and rest for a while. You're exhausted. It was clear that Nalan who had used up quite a lot of his strength. His old face was pale and his steps were not as strong as before. If he continued fighting, he might die of exhaustion even though he was not defeated. I won't step down. Nalan, who wiped away the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth. He seemed persistent and there was no doubt on his face. Even though I die here today, my corpse will continue blocking the invaders. My spirit will never die. I'll come back and take revenge for every reincarnation I go through. I'll never stop. Nalan, who sacrificed his whole life to kill anyone who harmed Liu Yun Kingdom. As long as his spirit was still there, he would never stop fighting. The two people from Paramount who came to help were shocked when they heard that. There were quite a lot of loyal people in this world, but no one had ever surprised them so much up until now. He would not only use his body to protect Liu Yun Kingdom, but he would also use both his spirit and corpse to protect his homeland. Master Nalan is indeed a true hero among heroes. It was not surprising as there were people who admired him and there were also people who wanted him dead among the four kingdoms. He definitely had great perseverance, but similarly he was feared by people. Who would not be afraid given that there was a great power like him to guard Liu Yun Kingdom? The sword pierced Nalan, whose chest. He was quick to steer away from the attack. Otherwise, that sword would have pierced through his heart. Master Nalan. All the people's facial expressions changed. They felt that Master Nalan was nearly reaching his end. The snow wolf's eyes were swollen. He howled and clawed at the spirit warrior who was standing in front of him, blocking his way. He almost burst into tears because he was anxious. Nalan, who was calm, facing the grief and anger of the others. He drew out his sword firmly and threw it in front of his enemy. Nalan, who? Qin Feiyang burst into tears. I beg you. Please return to general manner. We'll settle the things here. Let us do it. Those people were clearly aiming for Master Nalan. There were two spirit warriors fighting Master Nalan simultaneously and occasionally other people also came and joined the fight. Are they not feeling guilty for treating an old man like that? I, Nalan, who am still alive, am not dead. I'll never retreat. There was a taunting voice outside the entrance of the imperial city. That sound was so familiar to Tang Zi. It was so familiar to her that Tang Zi's whole body froze after hearing that. Chapter 395. The heroic spirit never dies. 3 Tang Zi. I never thought that we'll meet again under this kind of circumstance. Lady Rushuang, you can go home first. I'll come later. Tang Zi's facial expression was serious now. Her gaze fell on a man and a woman who walked in through the door. Anger was apparent in her eyes. Tang Shan, Feng Rushuang. When did these two people whom I hate the most come together? Feng Rushuang walked in from outside the imperial city with Tang Shan. She seemed overbearing and she was looking at Nalan Hu arrogantly. Nalan Hu, why aren't you dead? But, it's fine even if you're not dead. I have news for you. Feng Rushuang stopped talking for a while. Then, she laughed and said, the person beside me is from the reclusive family, the Tang family. Unfortunately, I met Feng Ruqing in the Tang family a while back. She was killed by the people in the Tang family. They killed her. She burst out laughing. Her voice was like thunder and it hit Master Nalan harshly. Master Nalan was stunned. Chinga is dead. Chinga is dead. No. Nalan Hu shouted hysterically. His eyes were swollen. No. You're lying. Chinga just went out to play. She's fine. Feng Rushuang's lips twitched. Tangzi can confirm Tang Shan's identity. Tangzi also knows that Feng Ruqing has offended Tang Shan on her behalf. Now, Feng Ruqing has offended the whole of the Tang family. Doesn't she deserve to die? Nalan Hu had forgotten about the war in front of him and he had also forgotten about the current situation. He turned and looked at Tangzi. His eyes seemed to be imploring Tangzi. Chinga won't be dead. She won't. Clearly, Tangzi did not notice Nalan Hu's gaze. She clenched her fists tightly and there was bottomless hatred in her heart. The one who has enmity with the Tang family. Why did you harm her instead? Why? I hate them. I hate them so much. I hate everyone from the Tang family. I hate myself too. The princess wouldn't have offended the Tang family and get herself killed if not for me. It's all my fault. Tears ran down Tangzi's cheeks uncontrollably. She seemed mad as she suddenly rushed toward Tang Shan. There was deep hatred in her eyes. You're picking a fight beyond your limit. Tang Shan sneered and kicked at Tangzi. Tangzi was no match for Tang Shan. She had used up a lot of strength in the war. Her body was flung away because of the kick. She fell into the crowd and the dust floated up from the ground. Tangzi did not respond to Nalan Hu. But, Nalan Hu had already received the answer. There was deep pain and grief on his old face. His whole being was like being thrown down into hell. He had suddenly lost all hope. Master Nalan. Qin Feiyang could not see any emotion in Nalan Hu's eyes anymore. His eyes were hollow. His eyes were like two deep pits of emptiness. It seemed like Feng Rushuang had gotten the result she wanted just by looking at Nalan Hu's facial expression. She laughed wickedly. She recovered herself and acted obediently when she turned and looked at Liu Yunxiao. Grandpa, I'll go and look for my mother in the palace. Tang Shan holds deep grudges with these people. Hell stay. Tang Shan would surely like to kill Tangzi, who was the traitor of the Tang family himself. So, Feng Rushuang left the scene arrogantly with Liu Yunxiao's escort. Bastard. A youth came out of the crowd and rushed toward Liu Yunxiao fearlessly. Liu Yunxiao was quick and he stabbed the youth in the chest. The youth did not make any sound as he just looked at Feng Rushuang with hatred. Everyone from the Nalan family is a hero. You're just a traitor who betrays your own homeland. I cannot kill you today but I want to berate you. You're just a shameless bastard. You're definitely going to hell after you die. You'll never get a second life. Chapter 396. The heroic spirit never dies, for since when have I betrayed my own kingdom? Feng Rushuang exploded with rage. The four kingdoms only helped my grandfather ascend the throne. I am not a traitor. It is just a change of the reigning monarch. Everything else is still the same. It's the same Liu Yun kingdom after all. The people of the Nalan family are heroes whereas the people of the Liu family are bandits. Liu Yunxiao is simply inhuman as he had massacred civilians at his will. And you, Feng Rushuang, have sold out the kingdom. You will die a tragic death. The young man spat a mouthful of blood on Feng Rushuang's face. As soon as he finished his words, he breathed his last breath and fell lifeless to the ground. Feng Rushuang's body shook violently as she wiped off the blood with a look of disgust on her face. She flicked her sleeves and moved forward. Apparently, some people still wanted to kill Feng Rushuang without care for his own life. However, They did not succeed as Liu Yunxiao and Tang Shan had stopped them. After all, they were no match for the masters in the Four Kingdoms, let alone Tang Shan who had attained Dark Warrior tier. Hence, they could only watch Feng Rushuang leave with a passionate hatred brewing in their eyes. Feng Rushuang left for the palace on her own as Liu Yunxiao merely escorted her for a while before he returned to the city's gate. He wanted to watch the fall of the Neylan family. Tang Shan did not take any weapons with him. In an instant, a force was emitted from his palm as he thrusted it at Tang Zi. Stunned, the snow wolf quickly rushed up to Tang Zi and blocked the force. The deadly force hit the snow wolf and sent him flying in an arch in the air before falling to the ground. Howl! The snow wolf flew into a great panic. Its claws were flailing in the air as it was afraid that it would die from falling from the sky before Tang Shan took its life. Falling to the ground, the snow wolf did not feel the slightest pain on its body. Instead, it was as if he had landed on a soft, fluffy cushion. It was so comfortable that he could not help but move his body slightly as he moaned. Ah! A loud cry sounded. Stunned, the snow wolf quickly turned his head around only to see Tang Yin burst into tears. Sob. Xiao Qing. Xiao Qing, growl. Why is she here? What about my master? The snow wolf was dumbfounded. The snow wolf looked down slowly. A dark, yet familiar face appeared under his body. I am finished. The divine spirit fruits for 1 month are gone. The snow wolf's mind was buzzing. Xiao Qing. Dominated by a profound sadness, Tang Yin cried her heart out and her cheeks were soaked with tears. Howl. Sob. The snow wolf burst into tears out of shock. It was an accident. It was all because of the bastard, Tang Shan. The snow wolf had always been loyal to its master. Feng Ruqing was rendered speechless. The snow wolf was still lying above Feng Ruqing who was breathing heavily. Get out of my face. Feng Ruqing threw a punch at the snow wolf in a fit of anger and sent it flying a few meters away. Feng Ruqing was leaving together with Tang Yin for the imperial city. She had never thought that she would actually walk right into an unforeseen calamity sent from heaven. Growl. The snow wolf rolled around on the ground before rushing up to Feng Ruqing. With a pathetic look on its face, its eyes glistened with tears. Feng Ruqing's eyes were fixed on the bloodstains on the snow wolf body. She did not notice the deep cuts on its back just now when the snow wolf had pinned her down to the ground. Seeing this, a fiery rage like a fire swept over Feng Ruqing. Something monstrous appeared in her eyes. Chapter 397. So fierce at the entrance of the imperial city, there were corpses everywhere. Liu Yunxiao's laughter was ceaselessly heard. He saw that the soldiers of the Neylan family were lying in pools of blood. He saw that Neylan who was exhausted and could not even stand properly. He even saw that Tang Shan had just rushed toward Tang Zi and the sword in Tang Shan's hand pierced Tang Zi's chest. Time seemed to stop at that moment. Liu Yuxiao could not stop laughing and his laughter echoed through the place. Everything happened just as he had envisioned. At that moment, a strong and powerful force turned into a sharp sword and came down from the sky. Soon, it pierced the back of the enemy in front of Neylan Hu. Neylan Hu was stunned. He looked at the enemy fall in front of him. Then, he raised his head slowly. The young girl had no expression on her face. Her red clothes were covered in blood and she seemed like a bloodthirsty devil. There was deep anger in her dark eyes. It looked like she just came out of hell. The people who saw her soon fell into a deep pit of a cold dungeon. Neylan Hu burst into tears at that moment. He held out his blood-stained hands and stroked the young girl's face. His lips shook and his voice was shaky. Chinga, my granddaughter is still alive. She's still alive. Neylan Hu's hollow eyes regained their luster. His grieving heart was soon filled with happiness. Feng Ruqing did not have time to console Neylan Hu. She turned her dark eyes toward Tang Shan. Tang Shan was only a foot away from killing Tang Zi. However, numerous vines appearing from under his feet and locked him in place when his sword was nearing Tang Zi's throat. His sword stopped right there and he could not move an inch no matter how hard he tried. After that, an innocent voice came from the sky. It was clear and sweet. You villain. How dare you bully my guardian's family? I'm very fierce. I bite. Tang Shan glared at the owner of the voice. He saw a small girl walking out from behind Feng Ruching. That little girl was exquisite and cute. She was like an angel from a picture. She had 2 braids and her cheeks were puffed. She seemed angry. She glared at the people with her large eyes. But she still seemed innocent and harmless no matter how fierce she acted. Nobody knew when that girl had appeared. Maybe that girl had appeared with Feng Ruching, but nobody had noticed it. Nevertheless, it created a disharmony there with the appearance of a young girl as beautiful as an angel in the middle of a battlefield. It was a pitiful sight. Maybe that girl would die at the battlefield soon just like everybody else. A small life would be sacrificed just like that. Tang Shan moved his legs, but he could not free himself from the tangles of the vines. He was anxious now. Who is there? I'm Tang Shan from the Tang family. You better let me go. Don't be a busybody. Otherwise, the Tang family will never forgive you. Tang Shan was a dark warrior. Nobody could beat him on the battlefield. There must be somebody else who had lent a hand and limited his action. But Tang Shan was not alone. He had the whole of the Tang family as his support. Moreover, he had made the breakthrough to Dark Warrior tier. The elders in the Tang family did not dare to look down on him anymore. If something happened to him, the Tang family would surely seek revenge for him. The sky was quiet and only the sound of the wind blowing could be heard. There was no other sound. Chapter 398. So fierce too, Mom, they're so noisy. Qing Han frowned and there was an annoyance in her eyes. Tang Shan scolded her. Little girl, shut up. It's not a place for a kid to talk here. The snow wolf was lying next to Feng Ruching. He raised his head when he heard what Tang Shan had said. He looked at him in awe. Nobody knew that the snow wolf was frightened when Qing Han appeared because of her fearful presence. His legs were shaky and he could not even stand upright. But the snow wolf would never have thought that there would be a brave person like Tang Shan in this world who was not afraid to voice his opinion. He seemed to be fearless of death. The snow wolf respected him. Then, everyone saw the most unforgettable scene in their lives. Numerous emotions appeared in the eyes of the killers from the 4 kingdoms. Their hands and legs were cold. They wanted to run away, but their legs were as heavy as lead and they could not move. The vines underneath Tang Shan's legs wrapped his whole body in an instant. He was nervous and he screamed hysterically. But his struggles did not stop the entwining vines from pulling him toward Qing Han's mouth. Yes, it was near her mouth. Qing Han's small mouth was soon enlarged and her whole being was growing larger too. She swallowed Tang Shan alive at one go. Her mouth then grew smaller and was restored to its original size after she had swallowed Tang Shan. Her stomach was still flat and nobody could see that there was a human being larger than her inside her stomach. I told you. I'm very fierce and I bite. The little girl pouted sadly. But why didn't you believe me? She did not lie and she was indeed very fierce. The others felt a chill in their hearts. Their bodies froze and they could not move. Those people who were fighting Liu Yun Kingdom stopped fighting. There was a bottomless fear gnawing at their hearts. Feng Ruching was anxious. She rushed toward Qing Han. Qing Han, you can't be eating everything. Spit it out, quickly. What are we to do if you have a stomach ache? Quickly, spit it out. Qing Han was an obedient child. She listened to her mother's every word. So, Qing Han quickly opened her mouth when Feng Ruching had finished talking. She vomited a person who was covered in gastric acid. But the person in front of them, he had no legs. Tang Shan could not wait to die. He was curled up in a fetal position and his whole body shook uncontrollably. This devil had eaten me and I would have soon been digested. But why did she vomit me out again? Why? They won't even let me die easy. Why would they torture me like that? Where are his legs? Feng Ruching looked at Tang Shan who had lost his legs and asked. Qing Han puffed her cheeks. His legs were digested. There wouldn't be much left to him if mother did not ask me to spit him out. I told you I'm very fierce. They think I'm lying. I'm a good kid and I never lie. At first, nobody thought that she was a little devil given that she seemed so innocent and naive. But, now, nobody thought that she was a normal little girl anymore. A normal person could not have a mouth that big. A normal person could not swallow a dark warrior. A normal person could not simply just vomit anything she had just eaten. Ching Han, tie those people up. Feng Ruching thought for a while. Then, she continued talking because she was worried. Those people have not taken a bath yet. Don't eat them. You need to let them take a bath first if you want to eat them. You can even cook them and add some spices. It's best if you fry them. Don't eat them alive. Chapter 399. So fierce 3. Ching Han looked docile and innocent. Okay, mother. Ching Han listens to mother the most. We will let little ape fry them before we eat them then. The four-armed ape standing nearby was still holding a slice and using it as a weapon. As soon as it heard Ching Han's words, it immediately grunted twice in response to her. Feng Ruching turned around and walked to Nailin Hu. Her eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger. Grandfather, I'm sorry, I'm late. Nailin Hu put his trembling hand on Feng Ruching's head. It doesn't matter as long as you're fine. Feng Rushuang was back here just now, and then she told us that you were murdered by the Tang family's people. I really thought that. Feng Ruching pursed her lips. Her eyes were blazing with anger. Where's Feng Rushuang? Inside the palace. Okay, I'll look for her right now. Feng Ruching's eyes landed on Nailin Hu's chest, which was covered in blood. She looked colder as her eyes scanned through the present crowds. From now on, the Battle of the Six Kingdoms will never happen anymore. Only Liu Yun Kingdom will exist. She took out a bag from the medium as soon as she finished her words. The cloth bag was filled with porcelain bottles. Grandpa, distribute and serve the herbal soups to the people of Liu Yun Kingdom. I'll enter the palace to look for father. She did not know why she had a growing sense of unease. Therefore, she had to see Feng Tianyu as soon as possible to calm herself down. Ching Han got anxious as she noticed Feng Ruching leaving. She did not want to stay at the city gate, so in desperation, she tightened the vines and strangled all the spirit warriors from the four kingdoms to death. Mother, I will enter the palace with you. Don't leave me behind. She pulled the vines back and rushed in front of Feng Ruching. Looking pathetic, she clasped onto Feng Ruching's thighs with both of her petite hands. Okay. Feng Ruching nodded and turned to look at Tang Yin and Qian Ning. Xiao Yin, Qian Ning, I feel uneasy for Daya and Aunt too. Could both of you drop by General Manor and protect them for me? Tang Yin was wild with joy as she smilingly replied in pleasure. Yes, Xiao Qing. That was the first time Xiao Qing had requested a favor from her. Did that imply that she owned a place in Xiao Qing's heart? Feng Ruching said nothing more and brought the little Ching Han along to the imperial palace. Tang Yin and Qian Ning headed to General Manor. The powerhouses of four kingdoms had died, all of the other soldiers had gone wild and chaotic. Tang Shan had lost both of his legs, he was useless as he could not even stand now. The last one who remained in perfect condition was Liu Yunxiao. Liu Yunxiao was scared off of his pants as he looked at Qin Feiyang and the others walking toward him. His legs were trembling and he cried in tears. Qin. Old Master Qin, we can talk calmly. You don't have to beat me, Eat. He received a punch on his face and spat out a mouthful of blood. Some teeth were knocked out, and then a smell of urine appeared and mixed with the wind. The master of the Liu family, the mighty spirit warrior, had wet his pant. Liu Yunxiao, you this doggy betrayer, not only have you betrayed us and allied with the enemy, but you also helped slaughter the people of Liu Yun Kingdom. You shall not die in peace. It's super easy and too good to let him die easily. I want to cut him into pieces to avenge my brothers. No, I'll chop him into minced meat and spill his flesh and blood in front of the hero's grave. I want to use his flesh and blood to memorialize the deceased. The crowd was indignant as their eyes burned with anger. They could not wait to tear Liu Yunxiao into thousands of pieces. Chapter 400. So fierce, for even though they had won the battle, in the end, it was a dreadful sight to behold. Those people who did not have to die were eventually sacrificed in the battle. Liu Yunxiao, the chief culprit of this battle who could not absolve himself of all the blame, must die. All the powerhouses of the four nations were dead, except Liu Yunxiao, who was still alive. If he was on the hoof, he had to face all of the punishment from Liu Yun Kingdom, to prolong his worldly sufferings even though he wished to die. Liu Yunxiao looked terrified. He could not understand why it would turn out this way. At first, it was no doubt a sure-win situation, but Feng Ruqing had returned with a little devil. Whatever it was, Liu Yunxiao knew that on that fateful day, he was really doomed. Nalan, who looked at Liu Yunxiao's hopeless old face, but there was no happiness of victory in his eyes. Then, he slowly looked at the corpses that were lying around. His trembling hand was tightly holding a long sword. There were not only soldiers from the Nalan family among the corpses. Some of them were elders in their 40s, an age old enough for people to start settling down in their later life. Also, the naive young ones, they were still not married and had not built a family but had already died in the war. Not forgetting the spoiled girl, they had actually held the long sword to defend and fight for their nation. They were all heroes. Nalan, who heavily brought one of his knees onto the ground. The Nalan family and their generations had been protecting the nation for centuries. So, before the generations of Nalan who, Liu Yun Kingdom had allowed a privilege to the Nalan family where the family was exempted from bowing or kowtowing to the royals and aristocracies. Therefore in his entire life, he had never kneeled before anyone. But he kneeled this time. He kneeled to the dead heroes in front of all the people. However, no one would think that kneeling one had done any damage to his dignity. We could hold the war until now, we could hold until Chinga returned. I was not the only one who had contributed, nor were the Nalan family's soldiers and loyal courtiers. Everyone had worked hard for this. All of them are not people from the court. Some of them are even ordinary people possessing only very low abilities. Still, they stood with us to fight and protect this land. I, Nalan who, standing here, will assure every of the perished heroes that your family is my Nalan family. We, the Nalan family, will provide the best education for your children, we will invite the best teacher for them and send them to the best school. I will support the rest of your wife's and parents' life. Even when I am dead, there will still be people from the Nalan family to support them to the end of their lives. For the people still alive, our Nalan family's door is always wide opened for you. If the Nalan family or the palace were to recruit any new members or officials, we will prioritize those among you first. Even if you weren't called up, if you are always kind and loyal to the nation, I, Nalan who, can promise you, to ensure you a carefree life forever. All of you are heroes. We, of Nalan family, will never turn a hero away. There was complete silence. Nalan whose voice was as loud as a bell as it lingered among the crowds for quite a while. But everyone remained silent, no one made a single sound. It should have been a promise that was joyful, but no one was cheered up under such circumstances. Too many people had fallen in the war, resulting in the crowds being inundated with gloom and grief. Nalan who stabbed the long sword in his hand into the ground and lifted himself up with it. His cold eyes slowly turned to Liu Yunxiao. As for this doggy one collaborationist, he is at your disposal now. I'll take the responsibility of His Majesty to decide. That sentence was more exciting compared to the promises that Nalan who had made just now. Chapter 401. To protect their last and only dignity, to dispose of Liu Yunxiao on their own, that was easier to stir the crowd up than those rewards. They could let go of Nalan whose promises and the rewards that were almost in their hands, but they would never let go of the chance to finish Liu Yunxiao off on their own. The crowds had punched him before, but it was not fatal enough. They could do whatever they wanted with Nalan whose words at that moment. No. Liu Yunxiao's eyes were wild with terror as he screamed hysterically. In no time, his body drowned in the crowd as his voice was cut off by the siege, inside General Manor. Qin Yi held Daya tightly in her arms. She looked cold as she was staring at the middle-aged man in front of her. Her face was expressionless. Liu Fei, why are you here? Liu Fei grinned coldly as he condescendingly looked at Qin Yi. Haha, do you think with such a few generals from the Neylan family, you could trap our Liu family's people? It was because my father had run away at that time. We were only pretending to get trapped just because we wanted to wait for him to return. Now, He's here, and the Neylan family's death is here too. Liu Fei was furious to mention this again. His dad was as timid as a mouse. He did not obey the emperor back then during dinner. They thought Feng Tianyu would die in Long Ao Kingdom's prince's hands, but who would know that Feng Ruqing would return in the end? He was so shocked and fled away overnight without even giving a message to the Liu family, leaving them to live in humiliation and a life that was worse than death. As soon as Liu Fei thought of the days when they were surviving through shit and pee, Liu Fei looked terribly disgusted. He looked evil and was brimming with resentfulness. He would pay back exactly what the Neylan family had done to him, to make them also go through the sufferings he had gone through before. Qin Yi hugged Daya tightly. She lowered her head and gently asked, Daya, are you afraid? Daya shook her little head and replied, Mother, Daya is not afraid. Good. The corners of Qin Yi's lips lifted gently as she said, We of the Neylan family have to be that way. Daya, don't worry, Mother will always be by your side. The battle was extremely ferocious. She really wished that she could go along with her father to protect and save the country. But she could not. She had to take care of Daya, and also some of the young and old fellows in the family too. Sister, a clear voice came behind Qin Yi. Qin Yi gently tilted her head back. She saw Wei Pinyao approaching from behind her. Qin Yi slightly frowned, her finely arched beautiful eyebrows knitted together. Why are you here? Wei Pinyao smiled lightly and shook her head. Sister, I'm weak since young and could not cultivate with you all, and so, I can't even help you protect Daya and have also dragged you down to protect us and render you unable to fight in the battlefield. I can't just stay behind you now. My husband, father-in-law, and father, all of them have already gone to the gate of the castle to fight and protest. As a daughter of the Wei family, daughter-in-law of Qin family, how can I, timidly stay behind you? Wei Pinyao knew well how much Qin Yi wanted to join in the battle. However, she could only stay inside General Manor and gather all of the women from the three families to protect them. By doing so, she could let their family fight against the enemies without having any worries behind. Indeed, several hours ago, some enemies had snuck into their houses and attempted to assassinate them, as killing them could destroy her father-in-law's troops' morale. However, Qin Yi had dealt with all of them. But Wei Pinyao never thought that Liu Fei would escape. And throughout the years, he had been hiding his ability. Advanced True Warrior Tier. Qin Yi was only an intermediate True Warrior. Facing someone who had reached a higher tier than her, how could she fight back when she had to protect so many old people at the same time? Chapter 402. To protect their last and only dignity to everyone. Relax. No one from General Manor will be left behind today. Liu Fei sneered and said, By the way, Qin Yi, let me tell you that, the old thing Neylan who has died, ha ha ha. Although he did not go to the city gate, it was impossible for them to survive with Liu Yun Kingdom facing powerhouses from 4 kingdoms, alone. Therefore, Neylan who must be dead. The Neylan family without Neylan who was so vulnerable that they could not even withstand a single blow. Qin Yi's hands trembled. She looked calm. People of the Neylan family take pride in protecting their nation. I'm proud of my family, and so, I will never bow to all you doggy traitor. I will keep my dignity and prestige to meet them. People of the Neylan family never feared death. What they feared was that the family perished with the kingdom. Don't overestimate yourself. Liu Fei smirked as he summoned a gust of wind with his palm. Qin Yi quickly tilted to one side and tightly held Daya in her arms. The strong force hit right on her shoulders. She spat a mouthful of blood, but still, she looked fearless and calm. Liu Fei said coldly, Qin Yi, I'll give you a chance. If you kneel and kowtow to me, I'll let you off. Qin Yi wiped away the blood from the corner of her lips. She stood up straight under the sunset. The Nayland family's daughter-in-law kneels to heaven, the ground, the gentlemen, and the parents, but never to the enemies. Just like the bell, the sea, and the bamboo, she sounded resolute. She would never put the Nayland family in shame as long as she was still a member of the Nayland family. Her father-in-law and husband were such noble and unsullied people with lofty spirits. Thus, she must follow the loyal spirit of the Nayland family. At the backyard of General Manor, Wei Mengjie looked at everything that had happened, dumbfoundedly. Qin Yi had always disliked her because of Wei Pinyao. But she wanted to be Qin Zun's concubine, and after all, Qin Zun was Qin Yi's younger brother too. Wei Pinyao could not have a baby. Therefore, it was absolutely normal for Qin Zun to get a concubine. She really could not understand why Qin Yi was so hostile toward her. For that reason, Qin Yi did not bring her along when she went for the Wei family's womenfolk. It was the Wei family's old lady, her grandmother, who had insisted on bringing her along, or else she would not want to leave too. Qin Yi could do nothing. To let the Wei family battle in ease, she was forced to bring Wei Mengjie along. Wei Mengjie's eyes were rolling non-stop as she saw Liu Fei order his people to search the yard. She could not hold herself back anymore. So, she ran out of the backyard. Chapter 403. To protect their last and only dignity. Wei Mengjie harumphed and said, "Jiangyu, what makes you think you can scold me by standing on the moral high ground? My dad was fighting hard, so what? I'm just a woman, can't I fear death? If you're not afraid of dying, you should go to the battlefield too." Jiang Yu stomped her feet, angrily. If it was not because of her pregnancy, she really wanted to do so. Although she did not partake in the war, all of her sisters had gone for the battle. Even her husband was a visiting son-in-law one, but he never fell back. She was proud of the Jiang family. At least she would never drag them along with her when her family was fighting on the battlefield. It was just death. That was far better than bringing disgrace to her family. What, you have nothing to say now? Since you have nothing else to say, you have no right to scold me. Enough. Wei Pinyao's eyes grew colder. She did not even take a second look at Wei Mengjie when she said, coldly, "I'll help my father disown this unloyal girl from our family. She's not a member of the Wei family, her action does not represent the Wei family. Her father valued reputation more than anything. She would not let this unloyal girl destroy the reputation of their family when her father was fighting so hard outside." Impudent. Old Lady Wei came forward with a stick and slapped Wei Pinyao's face. "You are a married woman, what rights do you have to represent our Wei family? Wei Pinyao, you are such a filthy little badass. First, you made Qin Zun your own, then you forbade your sister to be his concubine, now you want to expel her from our family. I will beat you to death, you this filthy little badass." The old lady raised her stick and attempted to violently hit Wei Pinyao. But, Qin Yi caught the stick before it could touch Wei Pinyao. "The enemy is here, but you are still in the mood to bully Pinyao. Do you really treat us as nothing? Pinyao would not be bothered if my brother wanted to get a concubine, but I had not allowed him to do so. I only acknowledge Pinyao, so does my brother, he will never betray Pinyao." Bah! The old woman was trembling as she pointed at Qin Yi. "You're only a daughter-in-law, what kind of rights do you think you have to represent the Qin family? Do you really think you are qualified enough to stop Qin Zun from taking a new concubine? A married daughter was like water that was poured out one. No married girl has the right to put their finger back in her parents' pie." The corners of Qin Yi's lips lifted coldly. She glanced at Wei Mengjie and turned to the old lady. Then, she turned to look at the only boy present. All men from the three great families had gone to war. Only the womenfolk stayed. But it was such a pity that, the Wei family's little concubine's son, who was also Wei Mengjie's own brother, hid in General Manor to seek for her protection. A big man allowing a girl to protect him. Was that not ridiculous? The Wei family's master has always been brilliant and faithful. But it's such a pity for him to have you as his mother. You have destroyed him, and there's no way to mend it. She turned away from old Lady Wei, refusing to look at her again. Old Lady Wei was so frustrated, her face went pale. If it were not because she was no match for Qin Yi, she would have already hit that shameless woman to death with her stick. Wei Pinyao, as long as I'm here, no one can disown Meng Jie from the family. Old Lady Wei stopped aiming her words at Qin Yi and had shifted her anger toward Wei Pinyao. Wei Pinyao's face seemed cold and void of any emotions. She felt utterly disappointed and cold, as if nothing could warm her heart again. If her father had not been treating her well all this while, she would never wish to return to the Wei family for the rest of her life. Therefore, even if she had to die there, she would never kneel to the enemy for her father's sake. She would let Liu Fei understand that, at least the Wei family and her, would protect their last and only shred of dignity. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.